Have you ever felt like you're living life on hard mode while everyone else got the instruction manual? If you're nodding your head right now, chances are you might be one of the rarest personality types walking this planet, an INFJ. And let me tell you something that nobody talks about. Being an INFJ isn't just challenging. It's like trying to navigate through life with a completely different operating system than 98% of the population. The curse of being the rarest type. Here's the thing. When you make up less than 2% of the world's population, you're basically a unicorn trying to blend in with horses. INFJs aren't just introverted. They're walking contradictions that even they struggle to understand sometimes. They're simultaneously the counselors everyone runs to and the mysterious souls nobody truly knows. It's exhausting being the person everyone trusts with their secrets while feeling like you can't share your own. Think about it this way. Imagine speaking a language that only a handful of people understand. That's what being an INFJ feels like every single day. You're constantly translating your thoughts, dumbing down your insights, and pretending you don't see what you see just to fit in. Meanwhile, your brain's working overtime, picking up on subtle cues, reading between lines that others don't even know exist, and feeling emotions that aren't even yours. The real kicker? Most INFJs spend decades not even knowing they're INFJs. They just walk around feeling broken, wondering why simple things that come naturally to others feel like climbing Mount Everest backwards. In high heels, during a thunderstorm. The emotional sponge syndrome nobody warns you about. Let's talk about something that'll make your head spin. INFJs don't just feel their own emotions. They absorb everyone else's like they're walking around with an invisible emotional vacuum cleaner that never switches off. Walking into a room for an INFJ is like stepping into an emotional minefield where they're feeling Bob's anxiety about his presentation, Sarah's hidden resentment toward her boss, and that random stranger's heartbreak from across the coffee shop. You know what's wild? Most people can compartmentalize their emotions. They can put them in neat little boxes and deal with them when convenient. But INFJs, they're swimming in an ocean of feelings 24/7, and half of them aren't even theirs. It's like being forced to watch everyone's emotional Netflix shows simultaneously while trying to focus on your own life. And here's where it gets really tough. INFJs can't just turn this off. They can't simply decide not to care or not to feel. Their empathy isn't a choice. It's hardwired into their DNA. So while everyone else is having a normal Tuesday, INFJs are over here feeling the collective emotional weight of their entire office, their family drama from 3 states away, and probably picking up on their neighbors' marital problems through the walls. The worst part? When INFJs try to explain this to others, they get looks like they've grown a second head. Just don't let it bother you. People say, as if INFJs can flip a switch and suddenly become emotionally waterproof. Yeah, right? That's like telling someone to just stop having blue eyes. The perfectionism trap that's slowly killing your soul. Now, let's dive into something that INFJs rarely admit even to themselves. They're perfectionists of the worst kind. Not the I need my desk organized type of perfectionism. No, we're talking about the soul-crushing, paralyzing, I need to save the world, but also make sure everyone's happy while doing it perfectly kind of perfectionism. INFJs don't just want to do things well. They want to do them in a way that aligns with their impossibly high moral standards, helps humanity, doesn't hurt anyone's feelings, and somehow manages to be authentic to their true selves. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while juggling flaming torches and reciting Shakespeare. Backwards. This perfectionism shows up in the weirdest ways. INFJs will spend 3 hours crafting the perfect text message because they're worried about how it might be interpreted. They'll lie awake at night, replaying a conversation from 6 months ago, torturing themselves over whether they said the right thing. They'll abandon projects they're passionate about because they're not turning out exactly as envisioned in their heads. And don't even get me started on decision-making. INFJs can see every possible outcome, every potential consequence, every way things could go wrong or right. So choosing between chocolate or vanilla ice cream becomes an existential crisis about the nature of choice itself. They're playing 4D chess while everyone else is playing checkers, and honestly, sometimes they just want to flip the board and walk away. The social chameleon exhaustion that's never discussed. Here's something that'll blow your mind. INFJs are incredible social chameleons. They can adapt to any social situation, mirror any personality, and make anyone feel comfortable. People often mistake them for extroverts because they can be the life of the party when needed. But here's the secret. It's all an act, and it's draining them faster than a phone battery running 15 apps at once. Every social interaction for an INFJ is like performing Shakespeare on Broadway. They're constantly adjusting their personality, moderating their responses, and calculating the right thing to say. They're not being fake. They're just trying to make everyone comfortable while maintaining some semblance of social harmony. It's exhausting being a shapeshifter. You know what happens after a party or a long day of socializing? INFJs don't just need to recharge. They need to completely shut down and reboot. We're talking about hiding under blankets, turning off phones, and pretending the outside world doesn't exist for at least 48 hours. And even then, they're still processing all the social data they collected, analyzing every interaction, and probably beating themselves up over that one awkward moment nobody else even noticed. The real tragedy? INFJs are actually amazing at connecting with people one-on-one. They crave deep, meaningful relationships. But society keeps pushing them into these large group settings where they have to perform their chameleon act, leaving them too drained to pursue the connections they actually want. The overwhelming need to fix everyone's problems. Let me paint you a picture of an INFJ's daily internal dialogue. Oh, that person looks sad. I should help. Wait, that person over there seems stressed. I can fix that. Hold on, my friend just texted about a problem. Drop everything. It never ends. INFJs are like walking repair shops for broken souls, and everyone somehow knows it. People gravitate toward INFJs like moths to a flame when they're hurting. Complete strangers will spill their life stories to an INFJ in the grocery store line. Colleagues will corner them with their relationship problems. Family members will call them at 2 a.m. with their existential crises. And you know what? INFJs will answer every single time because they literally cannot help themselves. But here's the thing nobody realizes. While INFJs are busy fixing everyone else, they're falling apart inside. They're giving away pieces of themselves like free samples at Costco, except they're running out of inventory and nobody's restocking the shelves. They'll listen to your problems for hours, offer brilliant advice, and genuinely care about your well-being. But when they need someone, cricket sounds. The irony is painful. INFJs are often surrounded by people they've helped, yet they feel utterly alone. They know everyone's deepest secrets, but can't share their own. They're the therapist who needs therapy, the counselor who needs counseling, the healer who needs healing. And the worst part? They feel guilty for even wanting help because shouldn't they be strong enough to handle alone? The analysis paralysis that keeps you stuck. Your average person makes a decision and moves on. INFJs? They're over here constructing entire parallel universes for each possible choice, complete with detailed storylines, character development, and probably a soundtrack. They don't just overthink. They overthink the overthinking. An INFJ's brain is like having 30 browser tabs open at all times, each one analyzing a different aspect of the situation. They're simultaneously considering the practical implications, the emotional ramifications, the moral considerations, the long-term consequences, the impact on others, the alignment with their values, and probably how it fits into the grand scheme of the universe. It's exhausting just thinking about thinking that much. This analysis paralysis shows up everywhere. Choosing a career becomes a decade-long existential journey. Deciding whether to text someone back involves a full psychological evaluation of the relationship dynamics. Even simple choices like what to eat for dinner can spiral into philosophical debates about consumption, health, and the meaning of satisfaction. You know what's really frustrating? INFJs usually know what they want deep down. Their intuition is screaming the answer at them. But they can't just go with their gut. They need to intellectually justify it first. They need to make sure it makes logical sense, even though half their insights come from some mysterious place they can't explain. It's like having a GPS that works perfectly but insisting on checking every single street sign anyway. The burden of seeing through everyone's masks. Imagine walking through life with X-ray vision for personalities. That's what being an INFJ feels like. They see through the facades, the fake smiles, the social masks everyone wears. They know when you're lying, even when you're lying to yourself. They can sense your insecurities, your hidden motivations, your deepest fears, usually within minutes of meeting you. Sounds like a superpower, right? Wrong. It's actually a curse in disguise. Because here's what happens. INFJs see the truth, but they can't always act on it. They watch people make mistakes they saw coming from miles away. They bite their tongues when someone's being manipulated because speaking up would require explaining how they know, and nobody believes in just having a feeling anymore. The workplace is especially brutal for INFJs. They see the office politics, the brown-nosing, the subtle manipulations, and the power plays. They know who's trustworthy and who's not, who's about to backstab whom, and which projects are doomed to fail. But they have to smile and play along because calling it out would make them the office weirdo, or worse, the office enemy. And relationships? Don't even get me started. INFJs often know a relationship is doomed before it even starts, but they'll try anyway because maybe, just maybe, they're wrong this time. Spoiler alert, they're usually not wrong, and they end up nursing a broken heart they saw coming from the very first date. The creative genius that nobody understands. INFJs have these incredible creative minds that work in ways that would make Einstein jealous. They don't think linearly. They think in spirals, webs, and dimensions that don't even have names yet. Their creativity isn't just about art or writing. It's about seeing connections nobody else sees, solving problems in ways nobody else would think of, and creating meaning out of chaos. But here's the problem. Trying to explain an INFJ's creative process is like trying to explain color to someone who's never seen. They'll have these brilliant insights that seem to come from nowhere, and when people ask how they figured it out, they're stuck saying something lame like, "I just knew." Because how do you explain that you saw the pattern in seemingly unrelated events? How do you describe the moment when all the pieces suddenly clicked into place in your mind? The frustration is real when INFJs try to share their creative visions. They can see the finished masterpiece in their heads. Every detail, every nuance, every layer of meaning. But translating that vision into something others can understand, that's where things fall apart. It's like having a movie playing in 8K resolution in your head, but only being able to show others a blurry screenshot. The constant battle between logic and intuition. Living as an INFJ means being stuck in an eternal tug-of-war between your logical mind and your intuitive knowing. Your intuition whispers, "This person is bad news," while your logical mind demands evidence. Your gut screams, "Take that opportunity," while your brain needs a 5-year plan with contingencies. This internal conflict is exhausting. INFJs will have these strong intuitive hits about something, a person, a situation, a decision, but they can't just trust it. No, they need to rationalize it, analyze it, and find logical support for what they instinctively know. It's like having a built-in GPS, but insisting on using a paper map to double-check every turn. The worst part? Their intuition is usually right. Like, scary accurate right. But society doesn't value intuition. You can't put, "I just know things" on a resume. You can't tell your boss you have a bad feeling about a business deal. You can't explain to your logical friends why you're avoiding someone who seems perfectly nice on the surface. So INFJs learn to doubt their greatest gift, and that self-doubt becomes a constant companion. The loneliness of depth in a shallow world. We live in a world of small talk, surface-level connections, and Instagram-deep relationships. For INFJs, this is like being a deep-sea diver forced to splash around in the kiddie pool. They crave depth, meaning, and authentic connection, but they're surrounded by people discussing the weather and last night's reality TV show. INFJs don't want to know what you did today. They want to know what made you who you are. They don't care about your job title. They want to understand your dreams. They're not interested in your social media persona. They want to see your soul. But try bringing that energy to a cocktail party and watch how quickly people excuse themselves to get another drink. This creates a peculiar, kind of loneliness. INFJs can be surrounded by people and still feel utterly alone because nobody's meeting them at their depth. They're having surface conversations while their minds are exploring the meaning of existence. They're nodding along to gossip while internally pondering the nature of human connection. It's isolating being a philosopher in a world of small talk. The weight of unrealized potential. Here's something that keeps INFJs up at night. They know they're capable of greatness. They feel it in their bones. They have these grand visions of how they could change the world, help humanity, and make a real difference. But the gap between their potential and their reality? It's a chasm that seems impossible to cross. INFJs aren't satisfied with ordinary lives. They can't just clock in, clock out, and be happy with a steady paycheck. They need purpose, meaning, in the sense that they're contributing something significant to the world. But society isn't exactly set up for visionaries who think in abstracts and feel in tsunamis. So many INFJs end up in jobs that drain their souls, relationships that don't nurture their depth, and lives that feel like wearing shoes 3 sizes too small. They know they're meant for something more, but the path to that more is unclear, and the fear of failure is paralyzing. They'd rather stay in their comfortable discomfort than risk reaching for their dreams and falling short. The never-ending quest for authenticity. In a world that rewards conformity, INFJs are on a never-ending quest to be authentic. But here's the catch. Being truly authentic as an INFJ means being weird, intense, and probably too much for most people. So they're stuck in this impossible position of wanting to be themselves while also wanting to belong. Every day becomes a negotiation between their true self and their social self. How much of their intensity should they reveal? How many of their insights should they share? How weird is too weird? They're constantly calibrating, adjusting, and moderating themselves, which is exhausting and soul-crushing in equal measure. The irony? When INFJs do let their authentic selves shine through, the right people are absolutely magnetized to them. But finding those right people means risking rejection from the masses, and that's terrifying when you already feel like an alien most of the time. Conclusion: the hidden strength in the struggle. So yeah, INFJs have it harder than most people realize. They're navigating life with a completely different operating system, feeling everything at 100% intensity, and trying to find meaning in a world that often feels meaningless. They're the counselors who need counseling, the healers who need healing, and the guides who sometimes feel completely lost. But here's the thing, this struggle isn't for nothing. Every challenge INFJs face shapes them into the incredible humans they become. Their sensitivity becomes their superpower when they learn to manage it. Their overthinking leads to insights that change lives. Their perfectionism, when channeled right, creates beauty and meaning in the world. INFJs might have it harder, but they also have the capacity to live deeper, love stronger, and impact the world in ways that most people can't even imagine. They're not broken. They're just built different. And in a world that desperately needs depth, empathy, and vision, being an INFJ isn't just hard, it's necessary. The secret isn't to make life easier for INFJs. It's to help them understand that their struggles are actually their strengths in disguise. Every burden they carry is also a gift they can give to the world. They just need to stop trying to fit into boxes that were never meant for them and start embracing the beautiful, complicated, intense beings they are. Because at the end of the day, INFJs don't need to have it easier. They need to understand that having it harder is what makes them exactly who the world needs them to be. And that's not a curse, it's a calling.